Hello, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this second episode of In the Style of, where I'm going through different guitar players' technique, their style, their gear and their sound. Today I'm gonna talk about my probably my biggest influence when it comes to solo lead playing. And it's not Zakk Wylde, it's Randy Rhoads. So, yeah, I mean, Randy Rhoads. Well, I have him tattooed here. It's the cover of a tribute album. And Randy's been, like I said in the intro, probably my biggest influence. I mean Zakk's too, but because of Randy and the tribute album, I started to get into lead playing. Before that, I had played guitar about 3 years, and my biggest idol, and one of the biggest still, is James Hetfield. So I was interested in rhythm playing, riffs and stuff, and so I basically learned everything from Metallica albums, Master of Puppets, Justice for All, and Black album, and also Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All. But those three, Puppets, Justice and Black, I learned, like, you know, I still can probably play the songs from, you know, start to finish, the rhythm parts. And then, well, I knew, like, you know, pentatonics and stuff, and I kind of had some kind of sense that, you know, what guitar is and what is a good guitar player and good guitar sound. And one day my friend asked me that, hey, why don't you know, don't want to play solos and stuff, you just, you know, chugging those rhythms. And I was like, you know, I don't really mind that wiggly and so on. And I just, you know, not my thing really. And then he gave me the vinyl LP of a tribute. I thought, okay, check this out. And he had a tablature book. And here's the tablature book also, because I know when you listen to this album, you want to learn this. Back then, you know, there was no internet. This was early 90s. So where I could check out it or stuff. And well, he was right. I mean, that album blew me off, because for some reason I haven't really heard Ozzy. I mean, I knew Black Sabbath and stuff, but you know, back then the information that it wasn't available like now on the internet. So I didn't even know that Ozzy had a solo career and, you know, had released 2 albums or 3, because the tribute was really out. And I was like, holy shit, because they were, and still are, Randy's solos are like songs within a song. They're technical, but still you can hum them. Yeah, that was like revolutionary to me. And then I I started to study that, and I wanted to know what's going on instead of just looking at the numbers. I wanted to understand what he's doing, and then I got into theory. I studied myself, Ralph Denier's Big Guitar Book or something. I learned the scales and how the chords work and everything just by myself. I mean, it's not rocket science. You know, you have 6 notes, and how you mix them, you get different scales and chords and stuff. So, okay, 12 notes if you count the sharps and flats. But yeah, that got me into, and then I started to study, you know, Iron Maiden, harmonies, and all these guitar players. Then a whole new world opened to me. So then, you know, I got into, you know, Eddie, all these great guitar players. But Randy was like, and still is, he was I mean, when Zakk Wylde came, he kind of made us, I was kind of like saying impact, like, gee, because I was like, dude is playing country and southern rock stuff, because I was, from a little kid, I was into Lynyrd Skynyrd and that kind of vibe. So Zakk was kind of like, I was doing a little bit the same, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, Randy. If you're not familiar who Randy is, there's a great article written by my friend Kimmo Araluoma from Custom Boards Finland, a great pedal shop, repair shop. So I will put a link on the description below where you can read. Actually, I read that before shooting this video just to check that I have all the facts right. So there's Kimmo talks about Randy's gear and a brief history about his career. You know, before Ozzy he used to play in Quiet Riot and was basically unknown, and then Ozzy just hired him. I guess basically the story says that he just heard Randy tune his guitar and stuff, and Ozzy said, "Yeah, you're in," and Randy was like, "But I was just tuning my guitar." Yeah. So Ozzy has a good sense of finding great guitar players. But yeah, the intro I played, that was the opening song track of Blizzard of Us and the opening song of a tribute album. I mean, Randy only did 2 albums, the Blizzard of Us and Diary of a Madman, amazing albums. But my favorite is still a tribute album, because I mean, Randy triple, doubled, quadrupled, doubled everything, all the solos and stuff. And to be honest, I'm not that fancy of the sound and the guitar sound on the Blizzard of Oz, the first album. It's actually not that good. So, but on Diary of a Madman it was a lot better. But on the tribute album, it's live. It's only one guitar. You really hear Randy playing. Like, let me show you a few examples how you can see how he developed. Because Blizzard of Oz, you know, they wrote the album, I guess, in a couple of weeks, and Randy was never, I guess, first time in studio. So a riff like Crazy Train, great major key song. So on the album, Randy plays it quite statically, like there's not that, you know, groove going on. So it's just like this. But on the Blizzard of on the tribute album, you can see how he just rips, you know, like plays guitar like really like what I spoke about the Nuno video. So he plays like, first of all, he doesn't play like, it's just like. I got a little bit excited, but you know what I mean. So the Diary of the tribute album, the live album, is you know, I've been listening to that album since I don't know, 20 years, over 30 years, something. You know, I'm in my 40s, so I started to play guitar when I was 13, and I was like maybe 16 when I discovered Randy. So still, yeah, it's amazing album. I'll put links below, you know, to Spotify and stuff. I'm sure you can probably find that yourself too. So let's speak about Randy's sound before I'll show some of his licks and solos and analyze them a bit. So I mean, Randy used a Marshall Plexi, I think two. I guess they were muddied a bit, I don't know, and he boosted those with MXR Distortion Plus. Although the name says that it's a distortion, but it's not. It's an overdrive, actually quite mild overdrive. So basically what I do with JSM 800, I boost it with the Boss Super Overdrive. And although the name says Super Overdrive, there's not that much gain. And so he used Marshall Plexis, MXR, and then he used, I think all of his pedals were MXR. He had a chorus, flanger, then some delays. Back then there wasn't any pedal delays, so he used some tape echoes and stuff. And wah and Roland volume for volume swells, and MXR EQ. So Randy's sound, it's really mid-focused. There's not that much low end, and it's a lot of treble. So I read on some interview that he used Marshall 1960 4x12, the basic most sold-out cabinet in the world, and he said in the interview that he thought that the speakers that it came with, I assume it's G75s, because that's usually what those cabs came with. The speakers were a little bit too dark, if I remember correct. He said that it was too dark and he wanted something brighter, so he used an Altec speakers. I'm not familiar with them. I don't even actually know if the brand still exists, but Randy used those to get a brighter tone, and his tone is quite bright, really aggressive, really unforgiving. So what I've done now, I created or tried to create the tone as close as possible with just pedals. So if you interested to have that kind of tone, it's pretty affordable nowadays. So what I have is oh yeah, and Randy used guitar-wise, he used Gibson Les Paul, the cream one, and I've seen him with the black one. Customs, and then he used the Carl Sandoval, the polka dot, and a Jackson brand started because when Grover Jackson, who had a Charvel, work at the Charvel, he made a custom guitar to Randy, and he just put his last name there, and that's how the Jackson brand got started with the Randy Rhoads model, now legendary guitar. So I've had a couple of those too, but more of a Les Paul guy. That wasn't really my thing. So yeah, Les Paul, and I think he had stock pickups probably. So I don't have any Les Pauls with passive pickups, but I have this one here now at my home studio, where I have a EMG 57 and 66. So this is kind of like EMG 81 active pickup combined with the characteristics of a vintage PAF pickup, you know, those sandy, some may call harsh, highs, and a little bit of that low end warmth. So that's why I chose this guitar, because it's the closest I can get guitar-wise to Randy's gear. And then, well, my signal is, I'll put a picture there. You can see my pedal board, or it's kind of like, there's a lot of going on, but I tried to have everything what Randy used. So then I think his signal went to the volume and then to a wah. But now my signal goes to, first it goes to a tuner, and then to noise suppressors input. Randy didn't use one. I'm sure he would have used one if those would have existed, because I read stories that his pedal board was extremely noisy. And from the noise suppressors send, it goes to the pedals, wah-wah, like Randy had. And then Super Overdrive, I don't have the Distortion Plus, but Super Overdrive will do, because Distortion Plus is an overdrive. It's a bit different circuit, but this will do. And then he had an EQ to boost even more of the mids, because it's really mid-focused, almost like honky and woody sound, his tone. So I have an EQ and I have slightly boost at just a tiny of 200, a little bit more 4, and a little bit more on 800, and 1.6K, and just a little bit on 3.2 and 6.4 to get that really aggressive top end that Randy had. And then Randy's case, I have a Friedman BOD, which is like hot-rodded plexi, the amplifier and the pedal. So I'm using this as like it will be an amp, like I use normally myself, and then I just boost it with an overdrive. And my clean sound is I stomp off the overdrive and lower the volume. And then I have a chorus, which Randy used on cleans, flanger, which Randy used kind of like those jet airplane effect types, and occasionally hitting that. And he used it also as a doubler. It was a stereo flanger, and from there the signal went to 2 heads, because he doubled in the studio everything. So yeah. And then I have the digital, I have a delay what Randy had, and then the Wampler is just there because I needed to have something, because the delay is, well, the cables. Anyway, I needed to have something in there so the cable could reach to the amp. And then the signal goes to a low input of the JZM 800, so the amp is totally clean. So everything, all the distortion, basically all the sounds are coming from the board. So with this setup, with the Friedman and everything, you can get a really awesome hot-rodded Marshall sound with basically any amplifier, or you can connect to it's directed to power amp, aka effect loops return and stuff, and from there the signal goes to Sir reactive load, because Randy used the Marshall 9060 cabinets. I bought that cabinet's impulse response made by ML Sound Lab, Finnish company. A guy Mikko does amazing job. I mean, I used Ownhammers and some other irons, but his stuff is like, first I have a Wagner Uber cab, and then the Friedman cab, and then I bought the Marshall 9060, basic Marshall with the T75 speakers, and it's just like that. The speaker, it's I put a link below, so if you want to check, he has an awesome collection. He's like an engineer, guitar player, sound engineer stuff. So really good IRs. Really, I mean, it feels like, real deal, and in a way it is. Anyway, yeah, so the cabinet I'm using is Marshall 1960 4x12 with G12, G75, and it's a Mikko's mix called Poison. I have no idea what microphones or whatever were used, because there's these mixes that he has done on those packages, and then there's also IRs of different, well, let's talk that about later. Okay, so yeah, and then it goes to the 11 rack and to Logic. So, okay, that was Randy's sound, and let me demonstrate once more. So now the super overdrive and the equalizer are off, and the Friedman is off, so the sound is now Friedman. Now super overdrive. And now the EQ to boost the mids even more. That was a Believer, great example of Randy's amazing licks, riffs and stuff. Okay, so he's theory-wise, what he uses when he solos and on his riffs. So it's like all of my favorite guitar players, and like me, it's pentatonics, and it's Aeolian mode, aka natural minor, Phrygian mode for the classical vibe, and then he used also diminished scale a bit, and blue scale, and chromatic passing tones and stuff. So mixes them together. But basically, it's you know, rock and roll and blues, but with the classical stuff in there, and arpeggios and so on. So maybe if we start with because his classical influences, even like jazz sometimes, it's like amazing stuff what he does. So A Goodbye to Romance, first song Ozzy and Randy ever wrote, if I've understood correct. It has these, well, I will play it to you and you will hear. So I have the Friedman is on, the EQ is on, chorus and delay, and I'm doing the clean sound, just lowering the volume. So there's all those major 7, B minor 9, I think. That's F sharp minor 7, and then G6, and then these E minor 7, A7 just like that, and then D major. And it's a major key, so he uses like, how do I explain it? Because it's in D major, so D major will be. But instead of playing in this position, because there's 7 modes, so I think of them as boxes. I think Randy too, because I kind of sense what he's doing. So he's playing, instead of playing, or at least how I think I am playing this, I'm playing in a relative minor key. So I'm playing a B minor, because B minor is same as D major. So I'm playing the first box. I'm thinking always as minor. Let's say if I need to play a E major lick, I usually think of it like it's a C sharp. It's just E pentatonic box in C sharp. So then it's major. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, so Randy starts the solo on and then this box is kind of like the F sharp Phrygian box. And then amazing licks. I've used these on many solos. You might have heard if you listen to Syra or any of my stuff, you know. That's at least from one song on Syra's latest To Myself album, and then the live version of Inside a Lullaby. My solo is so Randy. It goes like this. The endings are quite the same. So yeah, I mean, Randy, God bless. Okay, then well, what we covered, yeah, that was Goodbye to Romance, and then the pedal point lick of I don't know, Crazy Train major song, and the classic riff. And there's so much great stuff. And then I think the best guitar solo in the world, or the 2 best guitar solos in the world, and they are in the same song, Mr. Crowley. I remember, or actually I think my mom remembers better, because I used to practice that a lot, and I had the vinyl, so I basically wore it out and tried to figure out what was going on and try to understand the tablatures my mom says when she hears that song, she's you know brings back memories when I was a kid. But and again on Mr. Crowley and on many songs that Randy wrote with Ozzy, the solo has a different chord progression. So it's not just that he's playing pentatonics on top of a verse riff, which is really cool also. I do that, but I also do that with Randy, inspired by Randy. So I create totally different chords or part for the solo, song within a song. So Mr. Crowley, I mean the main riff, it's in D minor. Now the first solo, it goes kind of like that. I got a little bit excited. So, rock riff in the beginning, and then pentatonic, the first box, and then down, and then this kind of. Not actually sure what he does, but I think he goes up like on a natural D minor scale, like or something like. Or I play that, I think Randy plays that because a little bit differently too, because his solos, they are that like in this kind of saying that on the albums, but still he likes to throw in some other stuff. Like it's fun, when you have a fast phase, you just okay, today I'm gonna do this. But I think it's just like and then it's something like melodic stuff, and ends with the and then comes this kind of, I think Randy plays it like with pull-offs. So, but sometimes I play it like that, and sometimes I play it like the first pull-off and then alternate picky. And I think that Zakk Wylde plays this. I think he has a bar in there. And again on that solo, the chord progression is different than what's on the same key, but a little bit different chords. I think it's yeah, like that. And then the easy part, kinda, it's the same chords, but it's played. Then comes the highlight of the. So the chords on that second solo, they are. So D, G, C, F, B flat, E, A, and it starts with the fantastic arpeggios of those chords I just showed. So it's I'm gonna play this kind of quite how it is, and then let's go through it. So around that. What cool is that that solo, even though it's the same on the album version, but it's not. There's differences. So the beginning is the same. Those D, G, C, F arpeggios, and then comes this. And then this next tremolo picking part is a little bit different on the album than on the tribute live album solo. So on the album it goes like. But on the live album he plays it. Or some kind of bend in there. And then the second part is also different a little bit. On the album it's. But on the live album I think it's better. It goes like. And then comes this. And then this one is also a little bit different on the live, because it's I think on the album it's like. But on the tribute album it's. And then the trills up. And then the next part is different on the album. On the album but live, on the live album, which I think it's better, more feeling. And then again, I'm playing on the top of my head, but in the style of Randy, like this. And then comes this, I don't really know what's going on there. Sometimes I've heard versions where it's just like chromatically. And sometimes I've heard that it actually goes down the scale, like D minor scale. So but yeah, and then yeah, the outro, the rest of the solo I think fades out, but then this comes to really. Like that. So those two solos, I mean, everything's there. You know, melody, technique, you can, and those are technical solos, but you can hum those. It's amazing. I've tried to, you know, do that on my solos if the chord progression allows me, or the song, or whatever. So, but for example, on Cyrus, on our latest album, No Hells in Hell, there's a song called Man of Eternal Rain. It has like a 1.5 minute a guitar solo or something. But the end is well, it's my homage to Randy. So it goes like this. So, yeah, that's where that comes from. Yeah, I mean, hopefully this was informative and interesting. And if you knew Randy already, so hopefully this brought something new, like gear-wise. So you can actually get Randy's gear. I mean, gear, but the sound. Quite cheaply nowadays with just pedals. And if you're new to Randy, you wanna get into awesome player. I mean, he only recorded 2 albums. He unfortunately died on a plane accident on the tour. On the Kimmo's story, there's a he on the story. There's a story about that. So yeah, hey, long live Randy Rhoads. And also long live Dimebag and Zach and those. But Randy was my it was a life-changing moment when I heard him, and I still play his licks on my own albums, because, you know, of course I try to come up with something own, but it's that's in my blood. That playing that comes naturally for me. I don't even have to think. And sometimes I was like, oh man, I did Randy again. But yeah, cool. Hey, thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe. Euge out.